What's up, guys? This is Jack from Unavitarmc family, Unavitarmc. Hope you guys are doing great. Thank you guys for popping by and checking out the video. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you want to help us out more directly. You're more than welcome to donate to us. Never required, but always appreciated. And definitely wish you guys well. With this video here, we're covering the 21 classes of Conquest of Azeroth, which is basically a private server of World of Warcraft found under the Ascension family of custom servers. I happen to like this server a lot, and 21 classes is not exactly a small gig, so it was quite a bit to accomplish this video, but we're finally here. So again, thank you guys for popping by. From our side, best wishes, God bless, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace. Necromancer. So this is grayed out for Tauren. Alright, but we do have it available for... Let me switch to somebody that can be one real quick. Pretty much anyone on the Alliance could be a Necromancer by the odds, except for Night Elves and Tauren. So yeah, they let that go. It makes a lot of sense. I can nod to that. So let's go ahead and read their description here. They are casting damage dealers. Their primary resource is mana. Their secondary resource is runic power, and they wear cloth armor. So for combat styles, they have Death, Rhyme, and Animation. Death. Release a variety of plagues upon the enemy. Weaken them with maladies and ultimately expunge the life out of them. That's a pretty bold explanation right there. Rhyme. Focus on heavy frost damage, slows, and ramping mechanics to deal incredible damage to your foes. Animation. Unleash and actively control a massive horde of zombies, rotlings, ghouls, and other undead to destroy your enemies. Necromancers raise multiple undead minions to permanently assist them in combat, and then command them to unleash their unique special attacks to damage your enemies. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much a force to be reckoned with. A lot of people have been looking for Necromancers for a very, very long time. Which will be Pyromancer. So let's just highlight that first and see who can and cannot be Pyromancer. Pretty much everyone on the Alliance other than Night Elf and Draenei. Alright, Night Elf and Draenei cannot be Pyromancer. On the Horde side, everyone could be a Pyromancer, I believe. Let's just double check that. Let's mouse over again. Yeah, pretty much anyone could be Pyromancer, but we're going to switch over to the Alliance side anyway. Let's go Gnome, just to change it up a bit. We'll go male. Gnome with the pink hairstyle, as you see. Alright guys, check this out. So Pyromancer, they're capable of healing and casting damage dealer. Their primary resource is mana, and secondary is breath charges, and they wear cloth armor. Alright, for combat styles, so this is what we got here. Incineration, Flame Weaving, Draconic. Alright, those are the three specializations you got for the Pyromancer. So the first one is Incineration. So you burn your enemies to cinders with a combination of direct damage and damage over time effects. So you got also Flame Weaving, so heal allies with fire magic and cauterize wounds, weaving healing into your damaging abilities. For Draconic, it says build up breath charges with short range spells, then unleash powerful breaths to assassinate targets with fiery bursts. So yellow text says Pyromancers are masters of the art of fire, capable of incinerating enemies, cauterizing wounds to aid allies, and unleashing their inner dragon to devastate enemies at close range. So that's what we got for Pyromancer. Pretty interesting, the fact that you could heal. I also had some pretty good fun with Pyromancer, which we'll cover down the road. The fact of Draconic being there, that's something that raises the eyebrows, so to speak. You guys can check that out when you get the chance. And we'll move on to our next class. The next class we have is Cultist. So we'll switch over to the Alliance side. Actually, let's look at the race availability for Cultist. Pretty much anybody in this game could be a Cultist. So you just gotta pick your flavor, you know. We'll go to the Alliance though. Let's switch it to male side, and we'll go. Let's go Night Elf. Night Elf Cultist, probably one of the more unlikely blends, but I'm sure there's other people who are seeking this particular combination. So let's go ahead and read the details here for Cultist. They are both melee and casting damage dealers. They are capable of tanking and healing. Their primary resource is mana, but also use a secondary resource, Insanity or Void Runes. They wear cloth armor and plate armor, or probably anything in between. Then their combat styles. So they have Influence, Corruption, Godblade, and Dreadnought specializations. So we'll take one at a time. So we got Influence here. Shield your allies from harm with powerful boons granted by Yogg-Saron, and debuff enemies with your Edict spells. If I read that right. Edict? Yeah, Edict spells for additional healing. Then Corruption. Cast powerful Eldritch spells and channel the power of Cthulhu, or no, Cthulhu? Yeah, there you go, Cthulhu, to summon tentacles and unleash dark magic to obliterate foes. Godblade. Funnel the might of N'Zoth into your blade, gaining his might and becoming a dark void-bound juggernaut. Then you got Dreadnought. Become a defender of Yasharj. Yasharaj. I know that's said in so many different ways with other WoW videos I've viewed. With Yasharj gaining his blessing and shrugging off serious wounds with absorb shields and shield-based abilities. So it states here, cultists are servants of the old gods, offering their aid purely to further their schemes. The cultist is extremely versatile and capable of filling almost any role in a group, as well as summon a variety of tentacles based on the old gods they worship. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of reference to this in game, more so. A lot of it is kind of there already. It's pretty interesting to see where they would go with this. And yeah, anyone could pretty much play cultist. So take your pick, guys. For those, if this is your feel, pretty much all of the race combinations are available. Pretty interesting. So as we continue on, we see that we have also the Starcaller class. So I figure I'd just go Night Elf female for this one, just for the example, and kind of like the lore fantasy that they bring up. First of all, whoever else could be, other races that can be Starcaller are Draenei on the left side here with the Alliance, and then also for the Horde you have Blood Elf and Tauren. So pretty interesting combinations nonetheless, but yeah, I'm sure it could work out. So Starcaller, they are capable of both ranged and melee damage dealing. They can tank and also heal. Their primary resource is mana and energy. They wear plate and mail armor, and they have 4 specializations: Sentinel, Warden, Moon Priest, and Moon Guard. So we'll read their combat style descriptions. So channel the power of the goddess Elune through your bow, picking enemies off from far away with enchanted arrows. The Warden. Tap into your mana reserves to infuse your melee attacks with the power of the stars, balancing your mana resources for devastating abilities. Moon Priest. Heal allies by harnessing the power of the moon itself, attuning yourself to different lunar cycles to amplify your healing. Moon Guard. Convert your mana pool into powerful defensive abilities to deal with massive incoming damage, empowering your shield to prevent damage. So the yellow text for description, it states here, Starcallers are moon-worshipping warriors of the goddess Elune, versatile fighters with many abilities which scale off the total size of their mana pool. They call down the wrath of the stars upon their enemies and invoke the blessings of Elune to aid their allies. Just a small thing. As someone who enjoys the Night Elf lore, the whole Night Elf side of things, even back from Warcraft 3, I could dig this. Like, it's kind of about time, you know what I'm saying? That's just my that's my jam. So yeah, I'll be checking this a bit more down the road. I did play through this a bit, but there's a lot more to discover with it. I know there's been recent changes. But we'll move on to the next class. So we're going to go kind of polar opposite here. Actually, we're going to go to the Sun Cleric, which is the next one. For Sun Cleric, these are the other races that can be Sun Cleric. So the only ones that cannot be them, to make it a little easier, is on the Horde side, Orcs cannot be Sun Clerics, and Night Elves, which makes sense. Pretty interesting nonetheless. I'll make it a male this time. Sun Cleric, I'll read the description, but pretty much polar opposites in a lot of ways. But yeah, Sun Cleric. So they are capable of casting and melee damage, as well as tanking and healing. So for specs, pretty much, as you can see here, they wear cloth and plate armor. Their primary resource is both mana and rage, as well as their secondary. I guess that might have been a typo, whichever the case. But yeah, mana and rage is their resources. So Piety, Blessings, Valkyrie, and Seraphim are there for specializations. So under the combat style, we'll go ahead and read the description for each one. So for Piety, focus the energies of the sun to deal devastating holy and fire damage from a distance. Blessings, heal your allies with the power of your devotion to the sun, blessing them with your guidance to protect them from ailments. Then you have Valkyrie. Infuse your dual weapons with the power of the sun, striking enemies with holy damage and smiting them with solar fury. Seraphim. Empower your shields with solar energies, bathing enemies that strike you in purging flames as you shield the weak from harm. Alright, and so the yellow text describes them as Sun Clerics worship the sun as a deity, channeling its restorative powers as well as its searing heat to sustain allies and turn their enemies to ash. Taking inspiration from the Order of the Sunwalkers, Sun Clerics are a versatile class, able to fill many different roles. So yeah, Sun Cleric, and you basically got Starcaller, so they could be both, which is pretty cool about Torque. Our next class is Tinker. Although we are gnomes, we're going to switch over. But let's see. So for Tinker, we got Draenei, of course Gnome, Dwarf, and Human on the Alliance side. And for the Horde, basically anyone could be a Tinker in the Horde side other than Troll or Tauren. Alright, so let's go for a bit more something unsuspected. Let's go Blood Elf Tinker. Alright, there you go. So they are capable of melee damage as well as range damage, and they could heal as well. Primary resource is mana, and their secondary resource are rounds. They wear mail armor, and their combat style is as follows: mechanics, invention, demolitions. So description for mechanics: command your clockwork assistant, build sentry turrets, and gather scrap to power your mech suit for powerful attacks. Invention: heal allies with your repair shot and utilize gadgets like nanobots and beacons to make impactful choices between who and how you heal your allies. And then demolitions: deal fast-paced damage with a flurry of gunfire, black powder, and rockets. So yellow text describes them as Tinkers are masterful inventors who develop inventions to gain the upper hand in combat, utilizing unique and impactful round types to load into your gun, and a variety of gizmos and gadgets. And kind of like the word I said before, and I'll say it again, finally guys, I did play the Tinker for some time as well. A number of these I have played. There are still classes that I didn't play, but the fact that this has been placed in, at all in any WoW game, it's just awesome. The dividing factor between the profession and also the class. which, you know, you guys will probably see in-game down the road, but I'm sure they could synchronize pretty well with each other. But Tinker, it's finally here. You got access to mechanical-oriented type of warfare, you know, fixing things, putting things together, improvising, kind of like that theme, you know, you're inventing stuff. It's pretty nice. We'll move on to the next one. There's quite a lot to get through here, so let's move to Rune Master. Alright, Rune Master, let's switch it up a bit. Let's see, who can be Rune Master? Pretty much anybody, except on the Horde, it's, the ones that cannot be Rune Master is Tauren and Orc. Alright, so let's switch it to the Horde side for a moment. Go female. Okay. Yeah, of course, yeah, Rune Master. Taurens cannot be Rune Master, so here we go, we have Undead instead. They are melee and casting damage dealers. Their primary resource is mana, and their secondary resource is inscribed runes. They do wear cloth armor, and their combat styles are as follows. So we have Conjuration, Spellslinger, and Riftblade. So for Conjuration, description is summon a runic familiar to uniquely manipulate it to deal massive amounts of area of effect damage. Spellslinger, acquire, transfer, and unleash glyphs from yourself to enemies with your magic to unleash powerful effects. Riftblade, master complex combinations of elemental sigils to unleash powerful runestone spells upon your enemies from stealth. And in the description for them, Rune Masters are masters of the most complex spells and combos in Azeroth. By etching magic onto runes, they are able to unleash devastating spells upon their enemies. Pretty interesting. So our next class is Primalist. Let's go Night Elf again. Oh, let's see who else could be Primalist. Yeah, we'll start off with that. So we have Dwarf, Night Elf, and Draenei on the Alliance, and then you have on the Horde side Orc, Tauren, and Troll. So let's Dwarf. Let's do Dwarf. Yeah, there you go. So Primalist, they are pretty much the same as the last few, I think, right? Casting melee tank healer, caster melee tank healer. Oh no, ranged. Ranged is the other one. Casting melee tank healer. I'm just noticing the pattern. Anyway, so yeah, Primalist, they are able to do as such. Their primary resource, similar, is mana and rage. They wear plate and cloth armor, and their combat styles are as follows. So life, you got Wild Walker, Mountain King, and Geomancy. So we'll read the descriptions. Life, heal allies, and deal damage to enemies in close quarters combat, generating rage to fuel these abilities. Wild Walker, enhance yourself with wounds or trade them for a spirit animal and maul enemies apart. And then you have Mountain King, defend allies as an immovable force of nature, dealing area of effect damage with earthquakes and protecting yourself with earthen might. Geomancy, control the powers of the earth, sending forth a barrage of rock and magma at the enemies from afar. So the yellow description here states, Primalists wield the power of earth and life, as well as the ability to invoke the fury of Azeroth's great beasts to strike enemies down. So one thing for note, for all you dwarf fellas, I know you're out there, we're finally here. We got Mountain King. We're finally here. Bronzebeard, you know, Muirden, you know? The old school. That's pretty nice. I'm actually glad that they added this. We're going to move on to our next class, which is the Reaper. So let's see who's capable of being a Reaper in the first place. We're going to highlight it. So yeah, that's Blood Elf and Undead for the Horde side. And then Human and Night Elf for the Alliance side. Surprisingly, the Elves could be Reapers. There might be more lore on that. I probably would have to check that out, but we're going to have to see how things unfold. But surprising. Let's go ahead and check human, and we'll keep it female. I don't think we had a human female up much, so we'll go ahead and check Reaper. They are capable of melee damage dealing and also tank. Their primary resources are mana and souls, and well, the secondary resources souls, and then they wear plate armor. Their combat style is as follows. So they got soul, harvest, and domination. Descriptions are: for soul, infuse your weapons to assassinate key targets from stealth with dual weapons and banish them to the Shadowlands. Harvest, steal the life force of enemies and spend it to strike foes with powerful two-handed attacks. And so we also have Domination. Fortify yourselves with the souls of your enemies to deflect powerful attacks and absorb their life force. So the yellow text for their description is as follows. Reapers are life-siphoning death dealers possessed by dark and hungry spirits. They use their own health to destroy their opponents, then siphon it all back to restore themselves. Reapers are able to turn ethereal and hide in the shadows, waiting for their time to strike. So pretty interesting. There's a little reference to Shadowlands there. It may not be Shadowlands as we know, or some other people know as far as like retail Shadowlands. This, if I gather correctly, this is Shadowlands more in the style of Wrath of the Lich King and around that era. So from Classic to Wrath of the Lich King, the element of not fully knowing the Shadowlands, I think that's the theme that they're going with here. But I guess there will be more to discover as we, check out and, learn a bit more of the story or the lore direction of Conquest of Azeroth. Which is Venomancer. We were just out of line, so let's go Horde. Venomancer, let's see who flashes up on the Horde. The Alliance side first is Night Elf. And then the Horde side, Undead and Troll could both be Venomancer. So let's go to Undead Male and stick around that. So we got Venomancer. They could be melee damage dealers as well as casting damage dealers. They could tank and heal. They have mana and rage as their resources. They could wear mail armor. Their combat style is as follows. So you got Fortitude, Stalking, Rotweaver, and Vizier. For Fortitude, it states, become a fortified Scorpid, focused on a massive amount of health and a regenerative exoskeleton to help you defend and lead allies. For Stalking, embody a stealthy spider form capable of poisoning enemies and sinking their claws into them from the shadows for a swift death. Rotweaver, weave vile poisons together to deal massive damage over time to enemies. Vizier, heal your allies over time with the blessings of Shadra and offer powerful absorption shields. So the yellow text description for them, it says Venomancers are extremely versatile, focused on shapeshifting and invoking the power of Shadra. The Venomancer is capable of healing allies, withering enemies with poison, tanking with a fortified Scorpid form, or sinking their fangs into enemies from the shadows. So if those of you who have an affinity for shapeshifting and druid-oriented gameplay, yeah, that is fulfilled with the Venomancer. And I myself, one of my first maybe long-lasting classes was a druid starting off, so I'm definitely down for this type of class too as well. Pretty much all of them, I don't mind giving them a shot at least once, but yeah, definitely I could nod to this one. And I would suggest you guys take a moment to try it too. Even if it may not be your thing, you might find something that you like about it. Alright, so we're going to move on to the next class. The next class is Chronomancer. So this is what we got. We'll select on the Horde side, Undead Female. So, Chronomancer. Let me just flash on the side here. Hang on real quick. You can kind of see it on the left, but we'll start with the Alliance since it's a little difficult there. But you got Human, Dwarf, Gnome, and Draenei that are capable of being Chronomancer. So let me click on that real quick. Yeah. get back to the Horde side though. So on the Horde side, you got Blood Elf and Undead that are capable as well. So Chronomancer, they are ranged damage dealers. Also, they could heal, and they are also casting damage dealers as well. Their primary resource is mana, and they wear cloth armor. So the combat styles are as follows. You have Duality, Displacement, and Artificer. I'll just say it that way. We'll read the description for that. Combat style: Duality. Rampant chaos and order energies flow through you. Lean towards one or the other, channeling them with purpose to unmake your enemies. Displacement: shift through aeons to empower your heals and send ripples across time to reverse damage taken. Artificer: use powerful magic technologies and wands to disable and eliminate enemies. So the yellow text for their description: Chronomancers are the ultimate rule-bending casters with a variety of utility tools, allowing them to warp time in aid of allies or demise of enemies. It just, I think there's a lot of open doors and possibilities just to see how they start off and, you know, their place in Azeroth and what goes on. You know, of course, the Bronze Dragonflight would probably be involved in this particular class to some degree, at least. But yeah, there's a lot to see, or hopefully to see with that. Okay, so the next class we have is Blood Mage. So it's grayed out right now, but as we notice on the left and right, we do have Human and Night Elf on the Alliance side. And I want to make sure I'm seeing that. So yeah, of course you see that's grayed out here. So Troll and Blood Elf. So let's go to Blood Elf real quick. Yeah. Alright, so Troll and Blood Elf could be Blood Mage as well. So let's go back to the Alliance side. We'll go female this time. And let's go to Blood Mage. Alright, so Blood Mage, pretty capable class here. Melee, casting, damage dealer, and tank and healer as well. So those are the roles they could play. Their primary resource is Rage, and their secondary resource is literally their health. They wear leather armor, and their combat style are as follows. So we have Fleshweaver, Sanguine, Accursed, and Lycanthropy, if I'm saying that right. Description for each are as follows. So Fleshweaver, you funnel your vitality to heal allies with powerful blood rituals, suturing their wounds and revitalizing them with your magic. Sanguine. Spend your life force to fuel devastating blood magic to sanguinate your foes, siphoning their blood to empower yourself. Okay. Accursed. Weave in and out of melee and range combat, utilizing Accursed form to destroy your enemies. Lycanthropy. Transform into an alpha worgen, leading your shadow pack to ambush enemies while you use your Iron Fur to absorb punishing attacks. So a little bit more on the edgelord side, you know, gore fiend type of style gameplay, with the descriptions at least. But here's a description on the bottom. So Blood Mages weave sanguine shadow magic to eliminate enemies or heal allies, and some even embrace even darker magic by embracing the curse of the worgen. So yeah, definitely a lot of themes to be had with Blood Mage. A lot to discover with this. And then going forward, we have Guardian. So let's get to our Guardian. Now, the only one that's not flashing is Gnome. Pretty much anyone else could be Guardian. So, what are Guardians capable of? Well, let's switch the gear for a bit. Let's make it a male troll. There you go, Guardian. Alright, so Guardian. As you notice now, this will be one out of, I think, 3 or 4 of the classes that have a support role, as you can see here. It's pretty interesting. I'll probably get into a bit more of that at some point soon. But they are also able to tank and melee damage. Do melee damage.
So their primary resource is energy, and their armor is plate armor. So their combat styles are as follows: Gladiator, Inspiration, and Vanguard. For Gladiator, it states here, show off your skills in the arena by ramming your enemies with a shield and tactically disable them with nets to press forward to ultimate victory. Inspiration, play ballads and place down banners in reverence of strength to buff allies. Vanguard, utilize precisely timed blocks to mitigate damage, becoming a fortress on legs. And here's their description. So, the Guardian is a stoic and dignified fighter and a natural born leader that values honor and loyalty above all else. So, yeah, that's something like your standard warrior, if you will, but maybe a bit more. So, definitely a lot to discover with these classes.
We'll get into Stormbringer now. So Stormbringer, I think the only one that cannot be Stormbringer from here is Night Elf. Cool. Cool. So you got, other than that, you got a large window of race combination with Stormbringer. So let's go to Male, and let's go Horde. Let's go Torn, yeah. We'll go Torn Stormbringer. Alright, I guess this is, I think, the fourth support class as well. So yeah, they have support class, support role, and they are capable of being a casting damage dealer. Their primary resource is mana, and their secondary resource is static. So they wear cloth armor, and their specializations are as follows. So you got Maelstrom, Lightning, and Wind. So we'll read each of these combat styles. So with Maelstrom, weave together water and lightning magic to electrocute enemies. With lightning, deal a massive amount of single target damage at a fast pace, focusing on building maximum static to unleash their supercharged effects. Wind, conjure an air elemental to unleash strong gusts of winds capable of throwing enemies great distances. Stormbringers are master wizards who channel the power of wind and lightning, generating static with an arsenal of spells to unleash immensely powerful supercharged effects. Pretty interesting. I'll get into detail about it a little later on, but there used to be an effect with static back in the day, which will put you pretty much in heavy risk. So that mechanic, I think, has been removed, or it's been repurposed, I guess you'd say. But I'll get into detail with that later. But static is definitely something to look at as you're playing this class. Go ahead and move on to the next class, which is Felsworn. So Felsworn is grayed out for undead. The only ones that could be Felsworn, flashing on the Horde side, we have Orc and Blood Elf. I believe that's true. Let's see that again for Felsworn. Yeah, Orc and Blood Elf. And then the Alliance side, we have Night Elf and Draenei. So we were just at the Horde. Let's do something a little different. We all know who, more or less, the true Felsworn is amongst all these guys, but we'll go something different for now. Yeah, just take a moment. There you go. Alright, so take a look at Felsworn here. It says here that they are capable of casting and melee damage, and they are capable of being tanks. Their primary resource is Rage. It seems like that's the only thing. And they wear leather armor. Their combat style is as follows. They have, they are Slaying, Infernal, and Tyrant. So those are the combat styles, and I'll read the descriptions. For Slaying, chain your weapon attacks in specific orders to unleash combos. Infernal, wield the power of fell magic and cast powerful spells to obliterate enemies from afar. Tyrant, become a powerful tank empowered with Fell, focusing on self-sustain and area of effect damage. So it states here, former servants of the Burning Legion, Felsworn wield all corrupting fell magic stolen from slain demons. Using their glaives, These agile warriors excel at striking down multiple foes at once. I believe slaying is the demon hunter style. So the theme, you're utilizing legion-oriented powers and abilities and knowledge for your own ends with this class. So if that's the story you want to be about, you know, if that's the theme, you got the class right here. So the next class is Barbarian. We're going to move over to... Oh, well, let's check the races that could be them. It's clear that Dwarf can be them. We have Human, Night Elf, and Draenei on the left side. Pretty much everyone on the Horde, except for 2. You have Undead and Blood Elf that cannot be Barbarian. So, looking at it, kind of makes sense. Let's see. Let's go Tauren, and we'll switch it. Yeah, we'll go Troll, actually. We'll switch it to Tauren. Troll female. They're not the same. Alright, so Barbarian. Let's check this out. Melee and range damage dealer, as well as capable of being support. So we're going to see a few of these support specs within a few of those classes. Pretty interesting. Primary resource. So they use energy and the type of armor, leather armor. And their combat style is as follows. You got brutality, headhunting, and ancestry. Alright, so with brutality, you mutilate enemies with, as a reckless dual wielder or a brutal two-handed combatant, tearing through enemies and enraging as you spread your carnage. Headhunting, throw spears and a flurry of axes at enemies from afar to cut down foes. Ancestry, drinks ales in tandem with your ancestor to boost the spirits of your comrades, providing them with strength and courage. Barbarians are savage warriors that value strength above all else. Often hailing from savage tribal communities, barbarians are simple and fast-paced, dishing out physical damage to multiple foes at once. So another fun fact, guys, check it out. We got headhunting. That's a shout-out. You know, a couple RTS shout-outs from Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, so we're definitely seeing it here. I could appreciate that. I like the direction that this is going among the different classes here. And so support is a unique role, which I'll probably get into detail later, but if I didn't mention earlier, yeah, you'll see them again. Quite a few support specs in the classes here.
Witch Doctor. Alright, so as you can see on the left and right, these are the races that can be Witch Doctor. On the Horde side, you have Troll and Orc, and on the Alliance side, you only have Human. So, Witch Doctor. They are ranged and casting damage dealers, and capable of healing. Their primary resource is mana. They do wear leather armor, and their combat styles are Shadow Hunting, Voodoo, and Brewing. So shadow hunting, you're able to summon a dinosaur companion and unleash shadow arrows and glaives upon enemies. For voodoo, you hex and jinx enemies to deal damage over time and decimate enemies with powerful voodoo magic. For brewing, you combine different ingredients into your vial, offering a unique and engaging way to heal and support allies. So their description here on the bottom, in the yellow, it states, spiritual leaders trained in the arts of voodoo, alchemy, medicine, and nature magic. Witch doctors have an array of useful elixirs and empowerments that can aid their allies and end their foes. So sounds pretty cool, pretty interesting class.
So let's go forward with Witch Hunter. So Witch Hunter, let's see who is available for that. We have Human and Night Elf on the Alliance side, and then on the Horde side we have Undead and Blood Elf. So we're gonna go Witch Hunter. Let's go Blood Elf, female on that. Alright, so you got that transmog going on. You see that? They got their own little thing. Let me just go back to Cultist. So it's cool how they have this transmog for each class. Hopefully they'll have more class sets too. That would be very interesting to see. So let's go to Witch Hunter. They are melee and range damage dealers. They could also tank. Their primary resources are rage and mana, and they wear mail armor. So among their combat styles, they have Bolt Slinger, Darkness, Inquisition, and Black Knight specializations. So we'll read one at a time. So we got Bolt Slinger here. Unleash volleys of bolts from your crossbow at a fast pace to swiftly take enemies down. Darkness, become a master of Shadowhounds and quickly blast enemies away with your gun. Inquisition, use 2 fiery weapons and focus on swapping between purity and wickedness to control how you destroy your enemies. Black Knight, protect allies from harm with a 2-hander to deflect attacks and steal life from your enemies, and drink tonics to strengthen your resolve. Witch Hunters are expert monster hunters that focus on a variety of weapons as well as dark magics, which come at a price. Just a little note on this, for those of you who are on the retail side, I know there was like a lot of witches that were bought in, I think in Drustfire in particular. So I'm actually curious, would witches actually be added in the game as like enemy mobs? So yeah, that's a question down the road perhaps would be answered, but it's just something to think about. And yeah, the fact that they wear mail armor too, it's pretty cool. So yeah, you got Witch Hunter here. So we'll move on to the next class. So we'll move on to our next class, which is Knight of Zoroth. Alright, so let's just see who could be Knight of Zoroth in the first place. So Troll is obviously a no-go. We do have, on the Horde side, we have Orcs and Undead. That could be Knight of Zoroth. And then for the Alliance, it's just a Draenei. So since we're on the Horde already, let's go to Draenei. And let's switch to Knight of Zoroth. So this is definitely not a face you could trust, and the description will explain why. So, Knight of Zoroth, they are melee damage dealers, and they are capable of tanking as well. Their primary resource is Rage, and their secondary resource is actually Deathfire. They wear plate armor, or they don plate armor, and their combat style is as follows: Hellfire, Defiance, and War. So the description for Hellfire is as follows: weave powerful spell casts and tear enemies apart with an infernal blade to unleash a molten hell rain upon groups of enemies. Defiance, defy those who would challenge you, summoning hellish demons to serve you as cannon fodder, taking damage for you and your allies. And in War, butcher your enemies with brutal two-handed strikes, tearing flesh as you build up your Deathfire stacks to fuel powerful abilities. So the yellow text description here says, Knights of Zoroth were the creations of ancient and powerful warlocks who ripped the souls of fiery demons from the hellish plane of Zoroth and bound them into mortal bodies. So basically, a little bit of game changer here. What you're saying is basically whoever can be a Knight of Zoroth is basically a demon possessing a mortal body, more or less. They're now housed inside these mortal bodies. Pretty much on the dark side of things, you know, a little bit more edgelord style, you know, for those who may like that kind of thing. This could definitely bring a spin to the story and how COA will develop.
Alright guys, yeah, this is a re-edit. Templar. So with Templar, we actually have pretty much everyone on the left and right, Horde and Alliance, that could be a Templar. It's quite universal of a class, as far as race availability. And yeah, they're melee damage dealer. and they are also capable of tanking. Their primary resource is energy, and they wear mail armor. So their combat style, which is Discipline, Zealot, and Crusader. For Discipline, they tank enemies and protect allies from harm with powerful and defensive combos. For Zealot, you eliminate enemies in a flurry of swift strikes while utilizing powerful combos. Crusader, you slice enemies apart and spin your blade to deal massive AoE damage whilst unleashing powerful combos. So for Templars, the description is as follows on the bottom here in the yellow. Templars study all forms of combat, and they find powerful and unique uses for the Holy Light to fight in a flowing succession of combos. So pretty interesting. This is like a class where you develop or build combos, and you're able to deliver damage or different effects, I guess you'd say, in different ways with this class.
Yeah, we have the Ranger here. Pretty much anybody could be a Ranger. It's pretty much like a Cultist situation, right? Where pretty much anybody could be them. So same effect with Ranger. So let's check that out. I'll read the description. We're going with female dwarf. And here's the description here. They are capable of melee and range damage, as well as providing support. So this is one of those other classes that provide support. Primary resource is focus. There you go. Secondary resource is archery points. They wear leather armor, and their combat styles are archery, brigand, and farstrider. So we'll read each of these descriptions. All right. So with archery, build archery points to unleash powerful attacks upon enemies, and equip various quivers to grant additional effects to your attacks. Brigand, become a stealthy duelist, specializing in close range combat and poison-coated weapons. Farstrider, assume the role of a ranger general. Tactically release war falcons at enemies while buffing your allies with various war horns. Rangers excel in both ranged and melee combat, eluding in the background to stealth around enemies, and building up powerful attacks over time that they can use to finish enemies. Pretty cool. Yeah, so it's almost as if the rogue and hunter got together and developed new advanced strategy and tactics. There's a lot that could be done with this class, and I definitely enjoyed it when I took it for a spin.